Welcome back, comic friends, to another Critical pull list. Gonna do how we always do and go over last week's books, check out what I pulled this week, and take a look at what's coming out next week. This is the second time I've had to record this, so I'm gonna have to try to fly through this because, whew, that already took a while. So let's get into it, guys. So I'm gonna start off with my DC pick of the week, which is Absolute Green Lantern, issue 15. Deadman was a close second, but it just wasn't exactly my style as much as this one was. In this one, we have pretty much a 1-versus-1 fight between Joe and Tomar Ray. There's also a bit of a debate over whether Tomar Ray's plan is good or not because he says it's worth sacrificing a couple thousand to save trillions of people from Mogo. A lot of really good art and good action. There's a bit of a maze that Joe gets trapped in, and she has to upgrade her skills to beat him. She does that. Deadman, I read on video last week, so if you want to hear more about that, check out that video. But to summarize it, weird but good. I probably said the word weird like 10 plus times. Next up, Justice League Dream Girls, a DC Pride event. This was actually pretty good. I had already read the lead up into this, the Justice League Intergalactic Special, and I read about these two characters, Galaxy and Dreamer, for the first time. And I saw what leads into this issue. It was definitely cool. It kind of shifts between different scenes, kind of like a weird dream does, because they're stuck in a dream. Definitely fun. The one thing I wish I saw more of was them using their power sets, which was super interesting in the Intergalactic Special, but probably makes sense that because they're in a dream, they can't. Next, DC X Sonic the Hedgehog Metal Legion #2. This was more from the perspective of the bad guys in this one. It's about Lex and Dr. Eggman kind of trying to play against each other, and the Justice League is trying to infiltrate with spies to find out what their plans are. At the end, the Justice League gets kind of abandoned in a different dimension so that the bad guys can do what they want to do. Last up for DC is Batman issue 10. This was definitely good, just like the rest of the series, but didn't love it as much as I would hope. It's a bit slow in that Batman doesn't really get revenge or doesn't start taking down Savage yet. He does some things with that, like he recovers hard drive and stuff. It's mostly about Batman proving that Savage didn't win and Batman's still out there, and he goes and fights some crimes. And at the end, he unleashes the Bat Signal 2.0, which is like a swarm of drones in the sky. That was pretty cool. But that about wraps it up for DC. Now going to Marvel. My pick of the week was Wade Wilson, Deadpool. This continues to progress the plot a lot, like the last book did as well. And we see especially a lot of Deadpool kind of coming to terms with his trauma and what he went through. He's starting to heal, I guess, emotionally. He heals pretty quick physically, but definitely good progress. And we also see Blind Al taking a bigger role as well. Next up, Cyclops issue 5, the end of this limited run. It's a pretty suitable, fitting ending. Nothing crazy. We have some good action with Cyclops and the leader of the Reavers. I forget his name. We see him get taken down, and we see the Young Mutants are rescued. And there's a bit of a twist kind of at the end where one of the bad guys that you thought was killed is not, and he gets a little bit of revenge against one of the other bad guys that hurt him. And it's a good continuation for me from where I first read Cyclops, which is this Age of Apocalypse event that just happened. I thought it was nice seeing him at a disadvantage with his visor broken, and we see a lot of leadership from him with the Young Mutants. And there's some good messages where he kind of realizes and he tells the younger mutant that they don't need to be X-Men like he is. They don't need to be trained soldiers like he thought, because he can do that for them. He can be the X-Men for them. Next up is Storm, issue 5, the last of this limited run. This is pretty much, unfortunately, what I expected, which it was way too rushed, way too much in this last issue, and we don't really have a good ending. And there's even a page or two where it kind of does like almost like a TLDR, like, oh yeah, and Storm won the war, of course. Something like that. Disappointing. A lot of the blame goes to Marvel for turning ongoing into a limited, but yeah, there's too much crammed into this. Next up for Marvel is Iron Man issue 6. I thought this would kick off a new arc, but it's kind of more of its own standalone adventure. We see Iron Man going after Norman Osborn because he thinks he's the one that stole that tech from him, whatever it was, but it wasn't. and Spider-Man is there kind of in the middle of them, trying to keep them from tearing each other apart. A lot of really good art, good action, good dialogue from everybody involved. Now, last up for Marvel is The Amazing Spider-Man versus 4, issue 30, legacy number 994, so almost to 1,000. This was pretty good. We see Peter Parker fighting the Spore as himself, not as Spider-Man. Has a bit of a callback to that Daredevil training session in the earlier issue, where his spider sense helps him out and helps him kind of break free from the mind control a little bit, and he's able to fight. And we also have Kintsugi show up and save the day. And at the end of the issue, we have a reveal of who Kintsugi is. Peter Parker finds out. I thought the way that he finds out was a bit weird. It seemed like Kintsugi could have just snuck away, but instead he's like, Peter Parker, please don't tell her. That's my mom. Please don't tell her. I don't know, it seemed a bit shoehorned in, but it was still really good. There was also one more twist kind of reveal about a family issue kind of connected to that Torment event. So that's it for Marvel. Now let's go on to the indies. My pick of the week for the indies was Rook Exodus number 10. And it was also the Ting's pick of the week because he can't read. He likes to go by the art. And it's just amazing art. Jason Fabok on the art. And it's always so good. And maybe that's why it takes so long between books. There's a panel I'm going to show you, which I don't think is too spoilery or anything. But it's just cherry blossoms in Japan. Part of a flashback where you learn about this stag character. And there's also progress on the quest to find Bloodhound, who is the only one that can repair the world engine and save the planet. So we get some good progress out of this one, some good background information, some beautiful art, and it is just so good, and I just wish it came out more often. Next up, and this was almost as good, honestly, as Rook, was She Spawn issue number 2. The pacing in this is really good. The inner monologue of She Spawn is really good. The dialogue between her and the young child that she rescued, really good. Art's amazing. The action's amazing. And I also really like the cultist bad guys and the demons that she has to fight. They're just cool set of characters and weird and interesting. There's also a lot of information revealed about who the child is, and it's someone from She Spawn's past that is pretty integral to her story. So there's a lot there. It's just a really well-paced, fun book to read. Last up for the indies is Royals issue 3. We see the boys getting into the mission that the mobster assigned to them, where they need to steal some relic from a church. I still don't think this is some kind of mission that really suits them and their telepathy powers in a way that the mobster says. I don't think them being able to talk to each other in their heads is going to help them steal anything. But regardless, it's still really good. And the dialogue is just perfect. And the conflict between the brothers, this love hate relationship between them. And it ends with a twist that I just have no idea what's going to happen next issue. Literally blows my mind, if you know what I mean. A lot of good books last week. But that about wraps it up. Now let's move on to this week's polls. It was a pretty big stack this week. I'll toss up a screenshot of everything I pulled if it even fits on there. But let's just fly through this really quick and go over these really sweet pulls that are coming out. We'll go by publisher like I usually do. So first off, Absolute Catwoman. I read this earlier when I was recording the first attempt at this video. So I already know all about this, but I'll talk about it a little bit after I talk about next week's polls. Next up is Dream Girls, a DC Pride event issue 2. Just talked about the first one because it came out last week. Really enjoyed it, and I'm curious to see if they snap out of this dream or what happens. Oh, and I see also featuring Green Lantern Corps, so that should be really cool. Barbara Gordon Breakout, issue 2. The last one ended on a big cliffhanger, so very curious to see what happens. And we also don't really get too much information about this in the Batman book from last week, so hopefully this sheds a lot more light. Fury of Firestorm issue 3, honestly probably one of the books I'm most excited for. Probably one of the best DC books out right now, honestly. And the last one ended on a bit of a cliffhanger too. We have this mental battle that's going on within Firestorm and his personalities, and we also have a physical battle between some high-level superheroes that showed up. So hopefully it gets right into that because that would be cool to see. Next up for DC is Bleeding Hearts issue 5. Also ended on a cliffhanger, which I mean, good practice for a comic book, but it ends up on a big cliffhanger where next issue is going to really change the status quo. Kind of has to. And last is Green Lantern Corps, issue 17. In the last one, the sun becomes a black hole, and Guy Gardner, as the All Sight, thinks he has to jump into the black hole to solve this crisis that he's inadvertently caused with the emotional entities and the manhunters. And so we'll probably see him somehow surviving a black hole. That'd be cool. Reminds me of Hulk Smashes Everything, where he finds his way out of a black hole, which is actually a really cool comic book. Check that one out if you haven't. All right, guys. Going on to Marvel. Avengers Armageddon issue 1. I have been reading Captain America, and I think it's pretty much a continuation of that, where there's these Hulks that are invading Latveria, and they have to kind of stop them. And there's more Doom drama. They love Doom, so you can't get rid of him for good. And it should be cool. I like Zdarsky. His stuff's been really good for Captain America. Created Colton, who's just a really cool hero to me. And I hope we see more of Colton in this as well. I don't see him on the cover, though, which I'm not too surprised by. All right, next up, Jay and Silent Bob. Jay's a Future Past. I got the variant for this as well, of course, because it's Quick Stop. I had to have Jay and Silent Bob and Quick Stop. Can't have them without Quick Stop. So really excited for this. If it was up to me, I'd read this first, but I think most people would rather hear about Absolute Catwoman than Jay and Silent Bob. So I'll just have to read this on my own time. Next up, Bishop #1. The only reason I know about Bishop is because of Civil War Unmasked #1, where Bishop takes Tony Stark on a quest to the future to show him what happens if the Accords aren't passed. And he kind of convinces Iron Man to fully support the Accords, whereas before he thought it was a matter of like the lesser evil kind of thing. Thought he was really cool in that, and he seems like an interesting character. And this cover is really sweet, actually. It looks really bad. Civil War Unmasked issue 2, like I was just talking about. I really like the first one. It's by Christos Gage, a Greek, so of course I'm going to support, and I'm going to actually check out more of his stuff because I really enjoyed the first one. And it seems like the Civil War Unmasked stuff is kind of each one's a standalone story about a different hero. So this is seemingly Spider-Man. Next up, Daredevil issue 3. Beware the Omen. So the last issue was good, but I thought it was a bit slow. We have Murdoch kind of being revealed as potentially a prime suspect in some murder investigations or a prime target. And we have Murdoch kind of realizing that this assassin, whoever that showed up at his apartment, wasn't looking for Daredevil. He was looking for Matt Murdock. So in the middle of class, he's like, oh shoot, I'm putting all these kids in danger. And he runs out and he has a bit of a meltdown, and he gets saved from being hit by a car by Spider-Man, and that's where it ends off. So I thought that was a pretty good issue, but hopefully this kind of does a bit more and brings in the bad guy a bit more. Next up is The Sentry issue 4, which is actually the last issue of this limited run, which surprises me because usually they go to 5 or 6. But this was really good so far, and I'm sure this will have a really good, strong finish. It will have to do a lot, though, to kind of wrap things up in a way that makes sense. I think it will do it, though. And last up for Marvel is Jessica Jones Alias issue 4. As I've said many times, I love the dialogue, writing, the pace is perfect, interesting bad guys. Jessica Jones just seems exactly like on character from what I've seen from the show, and ended with a bit of a cliffhanger on the last one, so I'm curious to see how that ends up because they were fighting a pretty nasty looking bad guy. That's about it for Marvel, my dudes. Now let's check out the indies. First off, Skate Alley. Don't know much about this. I'm just really into skateboarding. At least I was when I was a kid, and I like that kind of culture stuff. So I had to pick it up. Hopefully, it's a bit like Grommets. I don't know if you read that. That's a really good skateboard related comic book. So if you're into that, definitely check out Grommets. I think it's set in like the 80s, and it does that like just perfectly. All I really know about this is that this girl, I think, moves to a town or a city where skateboarding is illegal, but she does it anyway, and she gets into trouble. Or maybe it's the whole world where it's illegal. I don't know, but it seems interesting. Next up is Godzilla's The Odyssey, and I have the variant too. I had to pick this up because, I love Greek mythology, I love Greek stuff, and it's The Odyssey, so I had to check it out. And this is actually drawn by a Greek person, Ilias Kyriazis. I think this is his cover. This is the A cover. I had to pick up the variant. I love that kind of old pottery style. Hopefully it's good. I mean, I feel like Godzilla fits in perfectly in Greek mythology. They can just make him be a titan. So we'll see how that goes. Next up, Ben 10, issue 2. The last one I wasn't too crazy about. I thought the writing was good, the art was amazing. It just didn't really pull me in, didn't grab me. Hopefully this one does. I'm willing to give it a few more issues to see, but I'm not sure if I'm part of the demographic really because I didn't watch this growing up. Next up is Archie X The Army of Darkness, the last one in this run, and I've really been enjoying this so much, and I'm gonna miss Ash after this. I would really like it if he got his own comic book. It's just perfect for comic books. Crazy adventures, really cool character, tons of blood and gore, and hilarious dialogue. So I'm gonna miss him, and I hope that they make some more Ash comic books. Next up, Dork issue 5. Been loving this. It's really like a heartwarming story. It's very heartfelt dialogue, tons of action and comedy, very cutesy art. It just is always a pleasure to read, honestly. Last up for this week's Indies polls, Speed Racer number 9. This is like perfectly paced. The speed, I guess, is perfect, you might say, but it just always pushes the plot forward and keeps you interested, and it doesn't feel rushed at the same time. I really just picked it up because of nostalgia for the Speed Racer as a kid, but it's actually been just really good. It's a really solid comic book, really surprising. Okay, guys, that is about it for this week's polls. It's a big stack from this week and pretty big stack next week, so I'm gonna have a pretty busy couple of weeks. As for what's coming out next week, let me toss up a screenshot of what I got on the list. Hopefully it fits on there because it's a pretty big list. There's actually a ton of really good stuff and a ton of series I'm excited for. I'm not going to go through everything. I'm just going to highlight what I'm really looking forward to most from each publisher. For DC, it's got to be Absolute Green Arrow at the top and Absolute Batman. But I'm also really excited for End of Life because I think that issue in particular is going to be really interesting. He's going to take down probably this weirdo at an amusement park, so that's a cool setting for a fight. Damn, Lobo's also coming out too. So many good books. Let's go to Marvel though. For Marvel, not as many books. Probably what I'm most excited for is Amazing Spider-Man. I've just been really enjoying it in general. So, and for indies, Dog Tag most likely. I really liked the last one. It was a good like historical book, really meaningful. And also if Destruction Be Our Lot, it's just so weird and cool. It's a robot, Abraham Lincoln. Odin and the Olympus Saga Megalith also for the indies. Oh man. The Trillion Dollar Kid, number 1. That's a new Jeff Johns. He hasn't missed lately either. Odin, I'm really excited for because I want to find out if they're tripping or if there's an evil spirit. I'm assuming the latter. And Megalith had a really cool ending and it was paced really well. Felt like an action movie. So we'll see if that keeps going. But now I'm going to talk about Absolute Catwoman because I did read this just before this video, my first attempt. So I'm not going to take it out and read it again, but it was really good. It's just absolute, they haven't missed yet. Snyder has not missed yet. It's just been so good. And this keeps it up. Writing is awesome. The dialogue and the inner monologues of Selena is just perfect. It feels like a noir book, the way she's talking. Very cool. The action is amazing. The art is amazing. It does a really good job of going back and forth in time to tell you different parts of her life story without losing you. Like it starts towards the end of the book and then it flashes back to like a couple of weeks and then it goes back to her as like a 12-year-old kid. And at each point you learn a bit more about her and what's going on. I didn't feel lost once. It just flowed perfectly. And there's a lot of cool like tech in this too. One of her ears is an EMP. One of them is a secret. Her tail is controlled like with a Neuralink, so she can just think about it and she controls it. Bulletproof armor. She's got a bunch of suits in the cat cave and like a motorcycle that turns into a cat and starts bouncing over a pile up of cars. And then it just turns right back into a motorcycle. Just such cool stuff in this. Can't wait to read the next one. I don't know how Absolute can keep doing this, how they can keep making such absolute masterpieces. And I don't know if I showed off this variant before, but look at that. I had to pick that up. But this was a pleasure. There was a ton of good books last week. Looks like there's going to be a ton of good books coming out next week. Ton of good books from this week. I am going to have a busy few weeks, and I can't wait. But that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have a great new comic book day. Enjoy your polls, and I hope to see you next week. Peace.